You are 3 months old, and you do not know it yet. You do not know that the river outside is a death sentence. You do not know that the man on the throne has spoken your name into a law. Not your name specifically, but your kind. Every Hebrew boy born this season, every one of them to be thrown into the Nile, your mother knows. She has known since the moment she heard your first cry and pressed her hand over your mouth so the neighbors would not hear. For 3 months she has hidden you. She has learned the sound of soldiers at the end of the street. She has learned to feed you quickly and hold you tight when the footsteps come close. But you are growing. Your voice is growing. And the thing she feared most is now certain. She cannot hide you any longer. So she builds. She takes papyrus reeds and weaves them into a small vessel, sealed with tar and pitch, just large enough for a child. She places you inside it. She does not pray out loud. She just holds the basket for a long moment before she lets go. The Nile takes you slowly. The current is gentle here, near the reeds at the bank. Your sister Miriam walks along the shore at a distance, watching, her feet silent in the mud. The basket rocks. You sleep. And downstream, the daughter of Pharaoh comes to the river to bathe. She sees the basket among the reeds. She sends a servant to bring it to her. When she opens it and finds you, you are crying. And something happens inside her that no decree can override. She looks at you and says, "This is one of the Hebrew children. She knows what you are. She keeps you anyway." Your mother is called to nurse you, your own mother, paid wages by the palace to feed her own son. And when you are old enough, you are brought to the princess and you become her son. She names you Moses, drawn from the water. The empire that ordered your death is now funding your education. You grow up inside walls made of limestone and power. You learn to read hieroglyphs. You learn the protocol of the court. You wear linen and eat from bowls that cost more than a Hebrew family earns in a year. You are trained in everything an Egyptian nobleman must know, and you learn it well because you are sharp, because you are driven. Because you are trying to be something you do not yet understand, you are not. But the palace cannot erase the thing your mother whispered into you during those months of nursing. You know you are Hebrew. You know it in a way that sits in your chest like a stone that will not dissolve. You watch the servants in the corridors. You watch the laborers in the distance through the high windows. And you carry a question you cannot ask anyone in this building. If these are my people, then what am I doing here? The palace does not answer that question. It just keeps dressing you in gold. You are outside the city the day it happens. You see an Egyptian taskmaster beating a Hebrew worker. Not a warning, the kind of beating that ends lives. Something moves through you faster than thought. You look left, you look right. You see no one. You kill the Egyptian. You bury him in the sand and you walk away. The next day you go out again and you see 2 Hebrew men fighting each other. You try to intervene to stop it. And one of them turns to you with a look that cuts. "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Are you going to kill me the way you killed that Egyptian?" The sand kept no secret. Someone saw. And now Pharaoh knows. The man who sits on the throne, the man whose household raised you, now wants you dead. You flee. You leave the palace, the linen, the protocol, the carved ceilings, the name they gave you, all of it. You run east into the desert with nothing but the clothes on your back and the sound of your own footsteps. The Prince of Egypt becomes a fugitive in a single afternoon. Everything you built your identity around is gone before sunset. And the desert in front of you does not care. You walk for days. The Sinai is not merciful. The sun does not distinguish between Egyptian nobles and Hebrew runaways. It burns both the same. Your throat is dry, your sandals are falling apart, and the life you had is so far behind you now that it feels like something that happened to someone else. By the time you reach Midian, you are not a prince. You are not a murderer on the run. You are just a man who needs water. You find a well. You sit down beside it, exhausted. And while you are sitting there, 7 young women come to draw water for their father's flock. And before you can decide to do anything, other shepherds arrive and try to drive the women away. You stand up. You do not think about it. You drive the shepherds off and draw the water yourself. The women bring you home to their father, a priest named Jethro. He gives you food, then shelter, then a place among his household, then his daughter Zipporah as your wife. You plant yourself here in Midian the way a man plants himself when he has no other place to go. Not with joy exactly, but with the quiet resignation of someone who has stopped expecting the life he planned. 40 years pass. 40 years. You tend Jethro's flocks across the same hills, through the same seasons. You are no longer young. The man who killed an Egyptian in a moment of fire is now a shepherd in his 80s, slow-moving, weathered, a father. You have a son named Gershom. You have a routine. You have almost stopped thinking about Egypt. Almost. You lead the flock to the far side of the wilderness one ordinary morning, to the mountain of God at Horeb, the same as every other morning, and then you see the fire. A bush is burning. That is not unusual in the dry heat of the Sinai wilderness. What is unusual is that it is not being consumed. The branches are bright with flame, but they are not turning to ash. The fire has been burning for long enough that you have noticed something is wrong, and still the bush burns. You turn aside to look. You take a step toward it. And then the voice comes, "Moses, Moses," you stop. Your sandals are suddenly wrong. Your ground is suddenly holy. And the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of your fathers, the God you heard about in whispers from your mother during nursing, is speaking to you from a fire that cannot be explained. He tells you he has seen. He has seen the suffering of his people in Egypt. He has heard their cry. He knows their pain. And he is sending you back. You are 80 years old, a nobody shepherd on the backside of the desert, with a speech impediment and a murder in your past. And God is telling you to face the most powerful man in the world and demand the release of an entire enslaved nation. You say, "Who am I to do this?" He says, "I will be with you." You say, "What if they ask your name?" He says, "I am who I am." Tell them I am sent you. You say they will not believe you. He turns your staff into a serpent, makes your hand leprous, and heals it. He says these signs will be enough. You say you cannot speak well. He says he made your mouth. Your brother Aaron will speak alongside you. There is no argument left. The fire is still burning. The ground is still holy. And the God who called your name from a bush knows your name in a way that no prince, no palace, no 40 years of silence ever did. You take the staff. You take the road. You go back to Egypt. Pharaoh does not receive you with fear. He receives you with contempt. You stand before him, you and Aaron, and you deliver the message. The God of Israel says, "Let my people go, that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness." Pharaoh leans back on his throne and looks at you the way powerful men look at inconveniences. Who is the God of Israel, that I should obey his voice? I do not know this God, and I will not let Israel go. Then he makes it worse. He orders the Hebrew overseers to stop providing straw for the brick making. The Israelites must gather their own straw and still meet the same daily quota. The workload becomes impossible. The people collapse under it. And when Hebrew foremen go to Pharaoh to complain, he sends them away with curses. They come to you and Aaron outside the palace. They are not grateful. They are furious. "You have made us offensive in the sight of Pharaoh," they say. "You have put a sword in his hand to kill us." And you go back to God and you say, "Lord, why have you sent me? Since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." The liberation is not a single dramatic moment. It is a war of attrition fought in rounds, and you are in the first round, and you are already bleeding. What you do not yet know is that there are 9 more rounds to go before Pharaoh breaks, and each one will be harder than the last. You go back to Pharaoh. Aaron throws down the staff, and it becomes a serpent. Pharaoh calls his magicians, and they do the same. But your serpent swallows theirs. Pharaoh's heart hardens. He will not listen. So, the river turns to blood. The fish die. The water stinks. Pharaoh's magicians replicate the sign, and Pharaoh turns away and goes into his palace and does not take even this to heart. Then the frogs. Then the gnats, so thick that even Pharaoh's magicians tell him plainly, "This is the finger of God." Then the flies, but only in the Egyptian districts. Goshen is untouched. Then the livestock dies. Then the boils, so severe that Pharaoh's own magicians cannot stand before you. Then the hail, the worst in Egypt's history. Then the locusts, devouring everything the hail left behind. Then the darkness, 3 days of it, a darkness so heavy it can be felt, while the Hebrews have light in all their dwellings. 10 times you go before this man. 10 times you watch the plagues fall, and the suffering mount, and the empire groan. And 10 times Pharaoh hardens. He bargains, he retreats, he threatens, he concedes for a moment, and then takes it back the instant the pressure lifts. You have watched rivers turn red and the sky go black and the ground crawl with locusts, and the man on the throne still will not release the people. You know, standing in the darkness of the 9th plague, that there is one more coming. God has told you. And this one will not be reversible. It is the 14th day of the month. The instructions come with precision. A lamb without blemish, 1 per household. Roast it whole over fire. Eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Eat it dressed for travel, sandals on your feet, staff in your hand, belt tight. Eat it in haste. Take the blood and mark the doorposts and the lintel of the house. Stay inside. Do not go out until morning. Tonight, the destroyer passes through Egypt. In every Egyptian home, the firstborn dies. Pharaoh's own son, the prisoner's son in the dungeon, the firstborn of every animal. A cry rises up across Egypt in the middle of the night, unlike anything the empire has ever produced. A sound of mass grief, sudden and total, from every direction at once. Pharaoh calls for you before dawn. He is not bargaining, he is not threatening. He is a man whose son lies dead in the next room, and all the power of the most advanced civilization in the world could not stop it. He looks at you and says, "Rise up, go out from among my people, both you and the Israelites. Go, serve your God as you said, take your flocks and your herds, and bless me also." 600,000 men, plus women and children, plus a mixed multitude of others who choose to leave with them. Decades of Hebrew labor pour out of Egypt in a single night, carrying silver and gold pressed into their hands by Egyptians who just want them gone. The bread has no time to rise. The exodus begins before sunrise, and Pharaoh once again changes his mind. The dust of 600,000 people moving through the wilderness is visible from a great distance. Pharaoh sees it from the palace and feels something snap back into place inside him. The old pride, the old calculus of power. He calls for his army. 600 chosen chariots, plus all the other chariots of Egypt, plus cavalry, plus soldiers. The greatest military force in the ancient world turns and rides east. Israel sees them coming, the army behind, the Red Sea in front, the mountains on the sides. There is nowhere to go, and the people turn on you. Is it because there were no graves in Egypt that you have taken us here to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Is this not the word we spoke to you in Egypt? Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians. It would have been better for us to serve them than to die here. You stand between a terrified nation and the greatest army on earth, and you say the only thing you know to say, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm. See the salvation of God, which he will work for you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will see no more. God will fight for you. You need only be still." Then God speaks to you. "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to move. Lift your staff. Stretch out your hand over the sea. Divide it. You lift the staff. You stretch out your hand, and the east wind begins. It blows all night. A strong east wind, steady and relentless, driving the water back, splitting it, building walls on either side, walls of water, standing upright, held in place by a force that has no natural explanation. The sea floor appears, firm ground, dry enough to walk on. And 600,000 people, with their children and their animals and the goods they carried out of Egypt, walk through on dry ground, walls of water on their right and their left. The Egyptian army sees the path and follows. The chariots surge into the seabed, wheels grinding on the dry ground, horses driving forward. But God looks down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he throws the army into a panic. The chariot wheels lock and drag. The soldiers look at each other. God is fighting for Israel. Retreat. But there is no time. You are on the other side. God tells you to stretch out your hand again. You do. The walls collapse. The waters return. The entire Egyptian army, every chariot, every horse, every rider, is swallowed by the sea. When the water settles, there is nothing left. The shore is silent. And Egypt's army exists no more. You stand on the far side of the sea and you look back at what is behind you, and for the first time since the burning bush, you understand that this is real. The God of your fathers did exactly what he said he would do. Israel is free. Miriam takes a tambourine and leads the women in song. The water is still. The dead Egyptians are washed up on the shore, and the wilderness stretches out in front of you, enormous and uncharted and necessary. You think, the worst is over now. You are wrong. The wilderness does not greet Israel with welcome. 3 days pass the sea, and there is no water. When you finally find water at Marah, it is bitter, undrinkable. The people complain. God shows you a piece of wood to throw in, and the water becomes sweet. But the grumbling does not stop there. In the wilderness of sin, the food runs out. The people turn to you and Aaron and say that it would have been better to die in Egypt, where at least they had meat and bread. God provides manna, bread from heaven, thin flakes covering the ground each morning like frost, and quail in the evenings. He provides water from a rock at Rephidim when the people are ready to stone you. He gives them victory over the Amalekites while you hold your staff above the battle with your arms raised. Aaron and Hur holding them up when they grow too heavy. And then you reach Sinai. The mountain is on fire. There is smoke and thunder and lightning and a sound like a great trumpet growing louder, and the people stand at the base of the mountain and tremble. They tell you, "Speak to us yourself. Do not let God speak to us directly, or we will die." You go up. You go into the thick darkness where God is. You are on that mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. No food, no water. God writes the law on 2 tablets of stone with his own finger. 10 commandments, the moral architecture of everything that follows. He gives you detailed instruction for the tabernacle, for the priesthood, for the sacrificial system, for the calendar of holy days. He speaks to you as a man speaks to his friend. In all of human history, there has been no conversation like this one. And at the base of the mountain, 40 days into your absence, your brother Aaron melts the people's gold earrings and pours them into a calf. You come down the mountain with the 2 tablets in your hands. You can hear the noise before you see the camp, singing, celebrating. Joshua, who waited for you partway up the mountain, says it sounds like a battle. It does not sound like a battle to you. It sounds like something worse. And when you come within sight of the camp and see the calf and the people dancing around it in naked frenzy, the anger that rises in you is not just yours. You throw the tablets. They shatter on the rocks at the base of the mountain. You take the golden calf, burn it with fire, grind it to powder, scatter it on the water, and make the people drink it. You stand at the gate of the camp and shout, "Whoever is on God's side, come to me." The tribe of Levi comes. That day, 3,000 men die. You go back up the mountain and you plead with God not to destroy the nation. You say something that will echo through every generation that hears it. If you will not forgive their sin, then blot me also out of your book. God does not destroy them. He carves new tablets. He reveals his name to you in a cleft of the rock, passing before you, declaring himself slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. You come down the mountain a second time, face shining so brightly with the reflected glory of God that Aaron and the people are afraid to come near you, and you have to put a veil over your face to speak to them. The covenant is renewed, the tabernacle is built, and the wilderness stretches ahead. Not 3 days of it, not 3 months. 40 years. The people rebel at Kadesh Barnea. 12 spies go into Canaan. 10 come back saying the land is full of giants and the Israelites are grasshoppers by comparison. 2, Caleb and Joshua, say God can do it. The people believe the 10. They weep. They want to go back to Egypt. They want to stone Caleb and Joshua. And God tells you that this generation, the generation of the Exodus, will not enter the land. They will wander until they die. Their children will inherit what they refuse to believe. 40 years. Every funeral is a judgment. The bodies of unbelief stacking up in the wilderness sand, one death at a time. And then the waters of Meribah. The congregation has no water again. They are quarreling with you again. And God tells you, take the staff, gather the assembly, speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. You take the staff. You gather the assembly. The people are hostile and exhausted and faithless. And something rises in you. 40 years of this. 40 years of carrying people who do not want to be carried. 40 years of interceding for the very people who would stone you. And you do not speak to the rock. You strike it. Twice. The water still comes. The miracle still happens. The people still drink. But God speaks to you afterward, quietly, with the weight of a verdict. Because you did not trust me enough to uphold my holiness before the people of Israel, you will not bring this assembly into the land I have given them. You will not enter the promised land. You knew the wilderness would cost you something. You did not know it would cost you this. The nation moves. Battles are won. Sihon and Og are defeated. The plains of Moab are reached. The people are at the edge. And God tells you, go up to Mount Nebo. Look at the land. You will not cross over. Before you go up, you speak to Israel one last time. You speak for a long time. You rehearse everything God has done for them, everything they have been commanded to keep, everything their children must remember when they are in the land, and when the land makes them comfortable, and when comfort makes them forget. You tell them that God is not just their history, He is their future. You speak of blessings and curses, of life and death, and you set before them a choice. Choose life, that you and your offspring may live. You lay hands on Joshua and commission him before the whole assembly. Be strong and courageous, you tell him. God will go before you. He will not leave you. Do not be afraid. Then you turn and you walk to the mountain. Nebo is not tall compared to Sinai, but the view is enough. God shows you the land, all of it, Gilead to Dan, Naphtali, Ephraim, Manasseh, the land of Judah as far as the western sea, the Negev, the valley of Jericho, the city of palms, as far as Zoar. You see it with your eyes, 120 years old, and your eyes are not dim. Your strength has not failed. You see what you cannot enter. You were drawn from the Nile as an infant and carried a nation through a sea on dry ground. You spoke to God face to face as a man speaks to his friend and came down from the mountain with your face on fire. You interceded for a people who would have stoned you. You gave them the law. You gave them 40 years of your life in the sand. You gave them everything. And you die on this mountain looking at what they will receive. No one buries you. God buries you Himself, somewhere in the valley in the land of Moab, in a place that no one has ever found. You die with the land in your eyes and the name of God in your chest, and the nation you carried to the border will spend the rest of its history measuring itself against the man who could not cross with them. The man who could not enter the land still carried the people to its border. God does not waste the broken ones. The story is not finished. You are in it.